There's a final lesson that, once you truly understand it, I mean really deeply understand it, changes absolutely everything about how you experience life. And here's what's beautiful about this. You don't need to read another book, take another course, or wait for perfect circumstances. You don't need to be further along on your journey. You don't need to fix yourself first. In the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm breaking down the 10 realizations that make this transformation inevitable. And if you've been feeling stuck, lost, or like something's been missing, no matter what you achieve or acquire, this is your wake-up call. But I need you to do something right now before we go any further. Pause whatever else you're doing. Don't just let this play in the background while you scroll through your phone or fold laundry. Because what I'm about to share isn't just information, it's transformation. And transformation requires your full presence. It requires you to show up, to really listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. So take a deep breath with me. Settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey together. For years, I searched for the secret, that one thing that would finally make everything click into place. I studied philosophy, spirituality, psychology. I read hundreds of books. I listened to thousands of hours of teachings. I observed the lives of people who seemed to have it all figured out. And after all of that searching, I realized something profound. The final lesson isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a series of awakenings. It's a collection of truths that, when they land, not just in your head, but in your heart, in your bones, in the very core of who you are, you'll never see yourself or the world the same way again. So let's dive into the first one. Now, I know you've heard this before. It's been said so many times, it almost sounds like a cliché. But stay with me, because most people completely misunderstand what this actually means. And that misunderstanding keeps them stuck in patterns they desperately want to break free from. See, we think we're reacting to the world around us. Something happens out there in the external world, and we respond to it in here, in our internal world. Simple, right? Cause and effect, stimulus and response. But here's the truth that changes everything. You're never responding to what actually happens. You're responding to your interpretation of what happens. You're responding to the meaning you assign to events, not the events themselves. Think about it. Two people lose their job on the exact same day. Same circumstances, same industry, same economic conditions. One person spirals into depression, convinced their life is over, that they're a failure, that they'll never recover. The other person sees it as the universe pushing them toward something better, as a door closing so a window can open, as the catalyst they needed to finally pursue what they've always dreamed about. Same event, completely different realities, two totally different experiences of the exact same circumstance. The difference isn't the event itself. The difference is the lens they're looking through. The difference is the story they're telling themselves about what it means. And here's the liberating truth. You get to choose that story. Not always consciously at first, because we've been conditioned by our past experiences, by our family patterns, by society, by trauma. Those automatic thoughts come fast and they come hard. But with practice, with awareness, you can catch them. You can question them. You can choose different thoughts that create different feelings, that drive different actions, that produce different results. So here's your practice for the next 3 days. I want you to become a witness to your own mind. Start catching your automatic thoughts, especially when something bad happens. When you hit traffic, when someone criticizes you, when plans fall through, when you make a mistake. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself this powerful question. What else could this mean? Not in a toxic positivity way, where you pretend everything is sunshine and rainbows, but in an empowering way, where you recognize you have agency over the meaning you assign. Maybe that traffic jam saved you from an accident up ahead. Maybe that criticism contains a kernel of truth that'll help you grow. Maybe those canceled plans are creating space for something better. Maybe that mistake is teaching you a lesson you needed to learn. I'm not saying these alternative interpretations are always true. I'm saying they're just as valid as the negative story you're probably telling yourself. And if both stories are possible, why not choose the one that empowers you? Because once you truly grasp that you're not a victim of circumstances, but a creator of meaning, everything shifts. You stop giving your power away to external events. You stop waiting for the world to change so you can finally feel better. You take full responsibility for your internal experience, which paradoxically gives you more freedom than you've ever known. And that's when you truly start living. This one absolutely stopped me in my tracks when I finally understood it. And I mean really understood it, not just intellectually agreed with it. We are obsessed with tactics in this world. We want the perfect morning routine, the right affirmations, the productivity system, the manifestation method, the strategy that'll finally make it all work. We consume content about what to do, how to do it, when to do it. We're constantly searching for the next technique, the next hack, the next shortcut. But here's what nobody tells you, or what they tell you, but you don't really hear until you're ready. Your external actions mean absolutely nothing if your internal state is one of lack, fear, or desperation. You cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself that you'll love. You cannot criticize yourself into positive change. You cannot fear your way into abundance. You cannot act confident while feeling like a fraud and expect the universe to reward the performance. Because energy doesn't lie. Vibration doesn't lie. People can feel it, even if they can't articulate it. Opportunities respond to it. The universe itself responds to it. Think about someone you know who seems to effortlessly attract good things into their life. They're not necessarily smarter than you. They're not working harder than you. They might not even be doing all the right things according to the success gurus. But there's something about their energy. There's a quality to their presence. They're not grasping. They're not desperate. They're not trying to prove anything. They simply are, and good things flow to them. That's not luck. That's not privilege, though circumstances certainly play a role. That's alignment. That's congruence between their inner state and their outer actions. They're not doing affirmations from a place of, I'm not enough. They're being the person who already knows they're enough. They're not chasing opportunities from a place of scarcity. They're attracting opportunities from a place of abundance. So before you take any action today, before you send that email, make that call, post that content, have that conversation, check your emotional state. This is the work that actually matters. Ask yourself, am I doing this from fear or from faith? Am I coming from lack or from abundance? Am I trying to get something to fill a void? Or am I sharing from my overflow? And here's the practice that changes everything. Spend just 5 minutes every single morning embodying the feeling of already having what you want, not visualizing it off in some distant future, not hoping for it, not wishing for it, feeling it now. If you want a loving relationship, feel loved now. If you want financial abundance, feel abundant now. If you want creative success, feel successful now. And I don't mean pretend. I don't mean fake it. I mean find that feeling in your body and cultivate it. Ask yourself, who do I need to be to naturally attract this? What would I believe about myself? How would I move through the world? How would I treat others? How would I treat myself? And then become that person today. Not when you get the thing. Today. Because when you do this consistently, something that seems magical, but is actually completely natural happens. You stop forcing. You stop pushing. You stop hustling from a place of not enoughness. You start flowing. You start allowing. And opportunities appear as if they were just waiting for you to become ready. As if they were seeking you all along. And you finally became the energetic match. Really think about that statement for a moment. What you seek is already seeking you. The desire itself, the very fact that you want something, that you long for something, that you dream about something, is proof that its fulfillment is possible for you. Nature doesn't create thirst without water. Think about that. The biological mechanism of thirst exists because water exists. Your body doesn't develop a craving for something that has no possibility of satisfaction. Nature doesn't create hunger without food. The desire to eat exists because nourishment exists. and nature doesn't create longing in your soul without the possibility of that longing being fulfilled. Your deepest desires are not random. They're not cruel jokes. The universe is playing on you, dangling carrots you can never reach. They're not proof of what's wrong with you, or what you lack, or how you don't measure up. They're breadcrumbs. They're whispers from your highest self, from your soul, from the universe itself saying, "This way. Keep going. You're getting warmer. This is part of your path." And here's what's truly beautiful. While you're seeking, what you seek is also seeking you. The perfect relationship isn't just something you're searching for. That person is also searching for you. The fulfilling career isn't just something you're dreaming about. That opportunity is also looking for the right person, and that person is you. The creative expression, the healing, the adventure, the contribution you're meant to make, it's all seeking you. So stop convincing yourself you're not ready. Stop waiting for permission from people who are just as lost as you are. Stop looking for more signs when you've already received 100 of them. Stop preparing to prepare. If the desire is there, the path is there. Your job isn't to see the whole staircase. Your job is to take the next step, just one, today. What's one small action you could take today toward what's calling you? Not tomorrow when you have more time. Not next week when you finish that other thing. Not next month when circumstances are better. Not next year when you're finally ready. Today. Now, what's one email you could send? One call you could make? One application you could submit? One conversation you could have? One paragraph you could write? One sketch you could draw? One person you could reach out to? Do that. Take that one step. Because when you honor the pull gets stronger. When you follow the whisper becomes a voice. When you trust the breadcrumb and take a step, the next breadcrumb appears. And what's seeking you, it finally finds you. Not because you became perfect, but because you became willing. Oh, this one's uncomfortable. This one makes us squirm. But it's so incredibly freeing once you really get it. Once you stop resisting it and start using it as a tool for self-awareness. Every criticism you have of another person, every judgment you pass, every time you think, "I can't believe they did that," or "What's wrong with them?" or "They're so annoying." It's a mirror. It's showing you something unresolved within yourself. The traits that trigger you most intensely, the behaviors that make your blood boil, the qualities you find most irritating. They're either aspects you've suppressed in yourself or ones you're terrified you might possess. That person who's too loud, who takes up space, who's unapologetically visible. Maybe you've been silencing yourself for years. Maybe you've made yourself small to make others comfortable. Maybe you've dimmed your light because you were told it was too bright. And their freedom to be loud triggers your resentment about your own self-silencing. That person who seems so selfish, who puts their needs first, who sets boundaries without guilt. Maybe you've abandoned yourself over and over again to please others. Maybe you've sacrificed your own dreams on the altar of other people's expectations. Maybe you've given until you're empty and then judged yourself for having nothing left. And their self-preservation triggers your anger about your own self-abandonment. That person who's not doing enough, who seems lazy, who isn't hustling 24/7. Maybe you're exhausted from the impossible pressure you put on yourself. Maybe you've internalized the toxic belief that your worth equals your productivity. Maybe you're running yourself into the ground trying to prove you deserve to take up space on this planet. And their rest triggers your judgment about your own inability to rest. See how this works. The external judgment is always pointing to an internal wound, an internal conflict, an internal dissonance. And this is such good news because it means every person who triggers you is actually a teacher. They're showing you where you need to heal, where you need to give yourself permission, where you need to extend to yourself the compassion you're withholding. So here's your practice, and it's simple but not easy. The next time you judge someone, and you will, we all do, it's part of being human. Don't just notice the judgment. Use it. Ask yourself, where do I do this to myself? What is this person showing me about me? What quality are they expressing that I've denied in myself? What freedom are they claiming that I've been too afraid to claim? And then try this phrase, this radical perspective shift. That person is doing the best they can with their current level of awareness. Say it, even if you don't believe it at first. Say it even if your ego is screaming that they should know better. Do better. Be better. Because the truth is, we're all doing the best we can with what we know, with what we've healed, with the consciousness we've achieved in this moment. Watch what happens when you practice this. Watch how your relationships transform. Watch how much mental energy you reclaim. Because judgment is exhausting. It's a full-time job, constantly monitoring everyone else's behavior, constantly finding them lacking, constantly building cases against them. But compassion is liberating. And as you soften toward others, as you free them from your judgments, you simultaneously soften toward yourself. You free yourself because you can't give others something you're not willing to give yourself. And you can't withhold from yourself something you're freely giving to others. This is the paradox that changes everything. This is the teaching that sounds simple, but contains layers and layers of depth. You can want something deeply while holding it loosely. Desire and attachment are not the same thing, even though we treat them as if they are. Attachment is when you're white knuckling life. It's when you've decided that this specific thing, in this specific way, at this specific time, is the only path to your happiness. It's when you're saying, either consciously or unconsciously, I'm incomplete without this. I'm not enough until I have that. My life can't truly begin until this happens. And that energy, that desperation, it repels. It pushes away the very thing you're grasping for. It's like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But desire without attachment, that's different. That's when you want something, you work toward it. You take aligned action. But your worthiness isn't riding on the outcome. Your sense of wholeness doesn't depend on getting it. You're saying, I desire this, and I'm open to receiving it. But I also trust that if something better is meant for me, I'm open to that too. I trust the timing of my life. I trust that what's mine will find me. And that energy, that peaceful expectation, that's magnetic. That attracts. Because you're not coming from lack. You're coming from abundance. You're not saying, I need this to be complete. You're saying, I'm already complete. And this would be a beautiful addition. Here's how you practice this. And I'm going to be very specific because this is subtle work. Visualize your goal. Really see it. Feel it. Want it with every fiber of your being. Don't suppress your desire. Desire is beautiful. Desire is human. Desire is the universe moving through you. But after you've felt it fully, after you've imagined it completely, release it with this phrase. This, or something better. I release my attachment to how this unfolds. I trust the timing of my life. And then notice throughout your day where you're trying to control exactly how things happen, where you're micromanaging the universe, where you're forcing doors that aren't opening, where you're clinging so tightly that you're cutting off circulation. That's where you're blocking your own blessings. That's where you need to practice opening your fist. Just a little, just enough to let life flow. Because here's the truth that seems backward until you experience it. Everything you want comes faster when you stop strangling it with neediness. Every relationship deepens when you release your death grip on it. Every opportunity expands when you hold it lightly. Detachment isn't indifference. Don't confuse the two. Detachment is trust. Detachment is knowing that you're going to be okay either way. And that trust, that's the most magnetic force in the universe. Listen to me very carefully. Every painful experience you've been through gave you something. Every trauma, every betrayal, every loss, every failure, every moment you thought would destroy you. It gave you something. It gave you wisdom you couldn't have learned any other way. It gave you compassion for others who are suffering. It gave you strength you didn't know you possessed. It gave you clarity about what you will and won't accept in your life. Nothing was wasted. Not one tear. Not one sleepless night. not one moment of excruciating pain. It was all part of your becoming. It was all shaping you into who you're meant to be. And I need you to hear this. You are not damaged goods. You're not broken. You're not too much because of your sensitivity or not enough because of what happened to you. You're not defined by your worst moment, your biggest mistake, your deepest wound. You're not the trauma that happened to you. You're not the abuse, the abandonment, the addiction, the depression, the anxiety. Those are things you experienced. They are not who you are. You are a warrior. You are a survivor. You are someone who has walked through fire and emerged transformed. And those scars you carry, they're not marks of shame. They're proof. They're evidence. They're testimony to the fact that you survived what was meant to destroy you. And not only did you survive, you're here, right now, still choosing growth, still choosing healing, still choosing to become. I want you to try something with me right now. Think of 3 painful experiences from your past. Maybe they're right there on the surface. Maybe you have to dig a little, but bring 3 to mind. Got them? Now I want you to ask a different question than you've probably been asking. Don't ask, why did this happen? Don't ask, what's wrong with me that this happened? Ask this, what gift did this bring me? What did I learn? Who did I become because of this? Maybe you gained empathy you never had before. Maybe you discovered inner strength you didn't know existed. Maybe you learned what real love looks like by experiencing what it doesn't look like. Maybe you developed boundaries you desperately needed. Maybe you found your voice. Maybe you discovered your purpose. Maybe you connected with a community of people who've walked similar paths. Maybe you became the person who could help someone else through what you've been through. There's always a gift, always. It doesn't mean the pain was okay. It doesn't mean what happened to you was acceptable. It doesn't mean you should be grateful for abuse or trauma, but it means you can extract meaning from it. You can alchemize it. You can transform your pain into your purpose, your wound into your wisdom, your mess into your message. So stop introducing yourself through your trauma. Stop leading with your wounds. Stop making your past pain your entire identity. You are so much more than what happened to you. You are what you did with what happened to you. You are who you're becoming in spite of, and because of what you've been through. Your story is your strength, not your sentence. Your history is your training, not your prison. And the moment you shift from victim to student, from why me to what is this teaching me, everything changes. Your past becomes your power. Your pain becomes your platform. And you become free. This might seem simple compared to the other points, but don't underestimate it. How you start your day determines how you experience your day. The first 30 to 60 minutes after you wake up set your energetic frequency, your emotional baseline, your mental state for the entire day ahead. Start reactive, immediately grabbing your phone, scrolling social media, checking emails, consuming news, responding to other people's agendas, and you'll stay reactive all day. You'll feel like life is happening to you. You'll feel scattered, pulled in 1,000 directions, at the mercy of circumstances. You'll operate from your primitive brain, from survival mode, from fight or flight. You become an actor in someone else's script, reacting to what comes at you. But start intentional, with silence, meditation, gratitude, visualization, movement, nourishment, and you'll stay centered. You'll feel like you're happening to life. You'll feel grounded, focused, clear. You'll operate from your highest self, from creativity, from clarity. You become the director of your experience. You decide the tone of your day before the day decides it for you. And here's what I've learned. You don't need some elaborate 2-hour morning routine that requires you to wake up at 4 in the morning. You don't need a perfect ritual. You just need intention. You just need those first few minutes to be about filling your own cup before you pour into everyone and everything else. Here's a simple practice you can start tomorrow. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. I know that might sound impossible. I know your brain is already listing all the reasons why you can't do that. But try it. Just try it for 7 days and see what happens. Instead of reaching for your phone, spend 5 minutes on breath work or meditation. You don't need to be a meditation expert. You don't need to achieve some transcendent state. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be present with yourself. Notice your breath moving in and out. Notice sensations in your body. Let thoughts come and go without attaching to them. This simple practice regulates your nervous system, centers you in the present moment, and connects you to yourself before you connect to the world. Then spend 5 minutes on gratitude or affirmations. What are you grateful for right now? Not in some distant future, right now. What's working in your life? What beauty surrounds you? What gifts do you have? And who are you becoming? What do you want to embody today? What qualities do you want to express? Speak them, write them, feel them, and then spend 5 minutes visualizing the day you want. Not in minute detail, not trying to control every outcome, but in terms of energy and intention. How do you want to feel today? How do you want to show up? What version of yourself do you want to bring to your interactions, your work, your challenges? 15 minutes, that's all. But I'm telling you, this will change everything, because you're no longer at the mercy of your circumstances, your conditioning, your automatic patterns. You're creating your inner world first. You're filling your own cup first. You're establishing your foundation first. And the inner world always creates the outer world. Your external reality is a reflection of your internal state. So stop waiting for your life to change so you can finally feel centered. Get centered first and watch your life change. This is one of the most profound truths you'll ever encounter. And it explains why sometimes the harder you try to solve a problem, the more stuck you become. When you're deep in a problem, when you're swimming in anxiety about it, when you're obsessing over it, churning it over and over in your mind, more thinking won't help. More analysis won't help. You need elevated thinking. You need a higher perspective. You need to change your level of consciousness. You cannot worry your way to peace. You cannot stress your way to solutions. You cannot figure your way out of a problem that was created by too much figuring. You have to rise above. You have to elevate. You have to access a different frequency altogether. Think about it this way. When you're in the problem, you're seeing it from ground level. Everything looks huge, overwhelming, insurmountable. But when you rise above it, when you gain altitude, suddenly you can see the whole landscape. You can see patterns you couldn't see before. You can see options that were invisible from ground level. You can see that what looked like a dead end actually has a path around it. Here's what this looks like practically. When you're stuck on something, when you've been thinking about it in circles for hours or days or weeks, stop. Just stop thinking about it. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know your mind is screaming that if you just think about it a little more, you'll find the answer. But you won't. Not from that level of consciousness. Instead, move your body. Go for a walk. Dance. Do yoga. Exercise. Physical movement shifts your energy and your brain state. Change your environment. Step outside. Go to a different room. Drive somewhere new. New inputs create new neural pathways. Meditate. Get quiet. Access the part of you that exists beyond thought, beyond worry, beyond the problem itself. Do something that shifts your state from contraction to expansion, from fear to love, from problem focused to solution, focused from lack to abundance. And watch what happens. Solutions appear, sometimes immediately, sometimes a day later. But they appear, and they're often so simple, you can't believe you didn't see them before. But you couldn't see them before because you weren't looking from the right level. And ask better questions. This is crucial. Questions direct your focus, and your focus creates your reality. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? How is this serving my growth? Instead of, why am I stuck? Ask, what am I ready to let go of? What wants to emerge? Different questions access different parts of your brain. They activate different neural networks. They open different possibilities. And different possibilities create different realities. So remember, this struggle is just a sign you're operating from the wrong level of consciousness. It's feedback. It's information. It's telling you to elevate. And when you do elevate, when you rise to a higher perspective, solutions don't just appear. They appear effortlessly. What looked complicated becomes simple. What looked impossible becomes obvious. Not because the problem changed, but because you changed. That voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are? This won't work for you. You're not special enough, smart enough, experienced enough, ready enough. You're going to fail. You're going to embarrass yourself. You're going to get hurt. Stay small. Stay safe. Don't try." That voice is not truth. That voice is not intuition. That voice is not wisdom. That voice is your ego. And before you make your ego the villain, understand this: your ego isn't evil. It's not trying to sabotage you out of malice. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. And in its calculus, safe means familiar. Safe means what you've already survived. Safe means staying in the comfort zone, even if the comfort zone is actually deeply uncomfortable. Your ego values survival over evolution. It values the known over the unknown. It values security over expansion and growth. Growth feels dangerous to the part of you that just wants to make sure you wake up tomorrow. Expansion triggers every alarm bell in your primitive brain. It screams, danger, unfamiliar territory, potential threat, retreat. So of course your ego fights every upgrade. Of course it resists change. Of course it creates fear, doubt, anxiety, imposter syndrome, analysis paralysis. Of course it conjures up every worst case scenario and plays them on repeat. That's its job. That's what it's designed to do. But here's what you need to understand. You don't have to let it drive. You can acknowledge it, thank it for trying to protect you, and move forward anyway. Name that voice. Give it a persona. I call mine the protector. When it shows up with all its fears and warnings and reasons why I should stay small, I say, "Hey, protector, I see you. I hear you. I know you're trying to keep me safe. Thank you. But I've got this. This fear isn't information about danger. It's just discomfort with growth. And I'm choosing growth. And then I do the thing anyway. I take the action. I make the move. I have the conversation. I hit publish. I apply. I ask. I show up. Not because I'm fearless. I'm not. Nobody is. But because courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. So stop mistaking ego resistance for intuition. Stop interpreting fear as a sign that you're on the wrong path. Sometimes fear is just proof that you're about to level up. Sometimes anxiety is just confirmation that you're growing beyond your current identity. Sometimes discomfort is just the price of admission to your next chapter. Learn to differentiate between the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom. Fear is loud, urgent, catastrophic. It tells stories about all the terrible things that might happen. It fixates on worst case scenarios. Wisdom is quiet, calm, clear. It doesn't need to shout. because it knows its truth. It simply says, this is the way. Keep going. So expect the resistance. Expect the fear. Expect the ego to fight your expansion and move anyway. Do it scared. Do it imperfectly. Do it before you're ready. Because you'll never feel fully ready for the things that matter. And waiting for the fear to disappear before you act means you'll wait forever. And this brings us to the final point, the ultimate lesson that contains all the others, the truth that, when you really embody it, liberates you from everything that's been holding you back. You are already enough. Let that land. Really let it land. Not as a concept you intellectually agree with, not as a nice idea that sounds good, but as a truth you feel in your bones. You don't need one more course, one more certification, one more degree, one more achievement, one more level of success, one more relationship milestone, one more stamp of approval. You don't need to lose the weight, make the money, get the recognition, heal all your wounds, or become a perfect version of yourself to finally start living fully. The house, the car, the relationship, the money, the fame, the freedom. They're not prerequisites for your worthiness. They never were. That was the lie. That was the trap. That was the hamster wheel, keeping you endlessly chasing, endlessly striving, endlessly postponing your joy until some future moment when you'd finally be enough. But you're not becoming enough. You're remembering you always were. You were born enough. As an infant, you didn't have to achieve anything to deserve love, care, attention. You didn't have to perform or produce or prove yourself. You were intrinsically valuable simply because you existed. And guess what? That hasn't changed. Your worthiness isn't earned through accomplishment. It's inherent in your being. Everything you've been taught that made you believe otherwise, that you have to hustle for your worth, that you have to prove you deserve to take up space, that you're only as valuable as your last achievement. It's all programming. It's conditioning. It's lies you've internalized from a sick system that profits from your insecurity. So here's your daily practice. And I mean daily. Look yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and say, I am enough exactly as I am right now. Say it even if you don't believe it yet. Say it especially when you don't believe it. Say it until it becomes more real than all the voices telling you you're not. And catch yourself every single time you think, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I meet the right person, when I have more money, when I lose the weight, when I achieve the goal. When. Replace it with, I choose happiness now. I choose peace now. I choose to believe I'm enough now. Stop postponing joy. Stop putting your life on hold. Stop waiting for permission from people who don't even know what they want. Stop building a life designed to impress people you don't even like. Stop performing for approval from audiences who will never be satisfied. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Because this is the ultimate liberation. When you truly know that you're already enough, everything changes. You stop seeking validation because you're validating yourself. You stop shifting for acceptance because you accept yourself. You stop hustling for worthiness because you know you're already worthy. You stop performing and start being. You stop pretending and start expressing. You stop hiding and start showing up as exactly who you are. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to be enough, when you accept that you already are, that's when everything you actually want starts flowing to you. Not because you finally became worthy of it, but because you finally became open to receiving it. Not because you earned it through suffering, but because you allowed it through acceptance. The relationships get better because you're no longer attracting from lack. The opportunities expand because you're no longer grasping from desperation. The creativity flows because you're no longer blocked by perfectionism. The peace arrives because you're no longer at war with yourself. So here we are, 10 realizations, one final lesson. Everything changes when you change. Not your circumstances, not other people, not the world around you. You, your consciousness, your perspective, your understanding, your level of being. And here's what I want you to do. Don't try to apply all 10 of these. Don't let your ego turn this into another achievement project, another thing you have to perfect. Pick one. Just one point that hit you differently. One truth that resonated in a way you can't quite articulate. One realization that made something click. And practice it for the next 7 days. Just 7 days. Really embody it. Really explore it. Really let it work on you. Watch what happens. Watch how your relationships shift. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how you feel in your own skin. Watch how life responds when you change. Because the final lesson, the one that changes everything, is this: you already have everything you need. The wisdom, the strength, the worthiness, the power, the love. It's already in you. It always was. You just forgot. And everything we've talked about today, it's all just different ways of remembering. Now go. Live like you believe it. Move like you know it. Choose like it's true. Because it is.